Greetings. Welcome to, can you believe this, episode 40 of Castle Combe TV. Love you guys. You have made this such a wonderful show. I know it started just to try and sort of help everybody escape a little bit from this craziness. Who'd have thought that we started it 40 shows ago when we went into lockdown? Yeah, I'm not going to go there. We get the rest of that story. We're not going to go there, but we're still together. Family Combe, we're still together. It's the main thing. I'm loving seeing your comments coming in, guys. Welcome to this evening's show, episode 40. Chris Mason, good evening all. Hope everyone's well. The mighty Green Army there. To the mighty Orange Army, Tim Perry. Evening all. Dilly. I'm not letting you down, guys. I've got the gin on the go. Our guest in a minute has let us down. It's water. No matter what he tries to tell you, his glass is water. But I know our second guest is done me proud. I can see in the background. I think she's possibly refilling, is she not? I don't know. Nigel Forrest from Upper Alton Park neck of the woods. I hope you're doing okay up there, mate, with the rain. I saw your video footage of the flooding that you're getting up there. Stay safe, buddy. Hope everything is okay. Mike Morris, good evening. Let's hope it's a better year all round. Absolutely. I'm not liking the trial run of 2021 so far, but I think they're just sort of, giving us what's the opposite of a false sense of security? They're kind of giving us a false sense of insecurity. I think that's what they're doing at the minute. Go with it. Believe it. Positive mental attitude. That's what we're going for here. Gerald, evening all. Here we go again. Absolutely. It's good to see you all back again. Goodness me, you are bringing the comments in quick and fast. David Campion, Wiltshire College, evening all. I hope you're all well. We are, my friend. I hope you are. I know you guys have been hit really hard at Wiltshire College with all of these things, but we hope to see you at the circuit. We hope to get you involved in the in the show at some point. I know we're speaking to a number of parties with regards to actually getting involved on a corporate level with the show, so that will be good. Tim Perry, I agree, but we'll make it work any which way we can. 100%. That's the beauty of this, and that's great to see. From YouTube, good evening, one and all, says Leon Smigielski. Apologies if I've butchered that, Leon, but I tried my best. Stuart Tinker-Taylor, good evening from a Castle Combe softcore supporter. That's Camp Softcore, just to be the opposite side of the track to the Quarry Hardcore. He's not softcore, I tell you. He's proper hardcore, is Tinker Taylor, and he loves his fuffers, as we say. Talking of good evening, I'm going to say good evening to my partner in crime. Hello, mate.
Hello.
Have you sacked your chef?
Yeah, a bit slow off the mark this evening. I know, unbelievable.
Absolutely. Well, thankfully, no one else was slow off the mark. They've been piling in with their comments. So good to see them. How are you, mate?
Yeah, no, I'm okay, thank you. Yes, just bit quite busy. Just everything's all over the place. And obviously, the news of Glastonbury being cancelled today, which is really upsetting. I know a lot of people have been involved in that and over the years, and I've been lucky enough to been to and worked on it as well, actually. So that's quite sad for a lot of people. But hopefully, I was saying to somebody, it's 180,000 people. I think it's 30,000 people that just work on it. So if you start looking at numbers like that, they would have started building this coming week, a few weeks. So it's a big gamble, isn't it? You're talking millions and millions of pounds.
Not able to be quite so reactive, that one, is it? A bit more like turning the QE2 for them to
exactly.
Later on. Yeah, exactly. No, that makes sense. I mean, still the comments piling in. Trevor Jones, greetings one and all. Tim Perry, evening Dawsey, legend himself. Not anymore. Now I've got me. Which way is he? That side. Now I've got my partner in crime here. I've been outshadowed there. Chris Mason, thank you for putting the shows on, mate, and keeping everyone's sanity. I hope that's what it's done, don't we, Tom? That's been our main driver here. I'm not sure what it's done for our sanity, but we hope we just keep each other entertained, mate.
Exactly. That's all it's about, isn't it? It's just it's easier than using Zoom, isn't it? I guess.
Exactly right. Yeah, and it means we ain't got to talk to each other too much. That's the reality. It. Yeah. Mike Cotton, congratulations on our 40th. Absolutely, thank you, mate. Loving that.
Yeah.
Pete Spiller, who's already abused me on Facebook. Evening all, can't wait for episode 50. Your age.
Wow.
I'm not sure who he's talking to there, mate. I'm not sure. He just apparently, according to Pete, you're all just sort of humouring us anyway. You don't really like the show, so there we go.
Who, Pete or us?
Yeah, Pete. Yeah, Pete. We know that you're messing, Mr. Spiller. That's a good man. Mike Morris, well done. Always great to have something to look forward to. Good. Incidentally, on that front, just quickly to let you know, the plan that you've probably noticed is that we were going to be trying to go every other week for sanity levels and work levels and all that sort of stuff. I've actually got a show next week. And for me, and I think many of you, a very special guest as well, actually, we got David Addison. Many of you will have heard him, of course, commentator Castle Combe. Even more of you will have heard him as part of the British Touring Car ITV commentary team. And the reason we're getting him on, lovely guy, I get to sort of work with him and see him around the country, as you can imagine, all the time, is that it's unbelievably, we were made aware of this, weren't we, Tom? And we couldn't believe the time.
By Pete Stowe, our archivist,
That was it. He said this year, it is 20 years ago this year, that was the first British F3 and British GT appearing at Castle Combe. And of course, he was part of the commentary team, and he was involved with Rodney and Howard to help convince them to come here. So we've got a special show next week that David Addison's coming on. So I can't wait for that one. And then the week after, we've got Russell Pointer Brown and a crew of special guests that is going to talk about how do we sum that one up? It's the extra 1%, isn't it, really?
Yeah, well, I think if you say the words Hintzer and then get people to Google that, and like I said, anyone, and I think the way that Russell, he'll go into a bit more detail, and it's not the F1 end, but the way he explained to me, he said, whenever you see Lewis Hamilton, there's a blonde woman with him who is helping him get into the car and talking to him a lot and everything else. Now, she's his kind of personal sort of coach as such, and she works for a company called Hintsa, that's HINTSA. And basically, they offer all this kind of different. So it's about your mind as well. So it's not just about your health; it's about your mind and kind of where you can be as a not even in racing, just generally as well. They do it for business people. Obviously, Russell's on both sides of the coin, and he got involved with them through his business and coaching and everything else. So I think he's got some ideas, and he's going to bring this chap on, who's one of the directors of Hintsa. Just I think give us all a little bit of an insight to what they do, and also hopefully we might all learn something as well, which would be good.
That's the key point, is that we've managed to get them to agree that there's going to be there's going to be a little giveaway there, in the fact that it's going to give us some useful information to take away, but it's going to be helpful in itself, because it's all about, if you improve by 1% every element, so like you say, your mind, your fitness, your strength, your nutrition, all of those different things that they come together and just improve everything. The impact on your performances is quite big. So we're trying to give something back to you guys as racing drivers in particular.
Definitely. And I think, if you can improve your drinking by 1%, I mean, imagine how much more gin you can, that's a lot more gin, isn't it?
I know. I feel disappointed these days that I'm only semi-professional at it, but I need to go fully pro, mate. Fully pro.
Like a darts player.
Exactly, mate.
You're a good darts player. You could be good, You could get commentating on darts. I could see you doing that.
Hey, now that I would enjoy. I'm allowed to get excited for that as well, aren't I? So I'd love that. Ignore evening, everyone. Hope you're all keeping well. Flat Out Media evening, guys. Of course, that is one half of that is Sam Preston, who is absolutely vital for everything we do behind the scenes. So thank you for that. Martin Bennett says, "Evening, Gin Monster." Ray Ferrari, Nut Ferguson, evening all. Dilly, bring on the new season. Absolutely. Paris McCreef, this is obviously before you came on, Tom, but she said, "Hi, Chris. Hi, Paris. I hope you're keeping well."
Hi, Paris.
Miss seeing you, Paris. Hopefully we'll see you when the season gets, when normality returns. Is there a normal? I don't know. Rob Jones, we got to get him back on again, haven't we? Evening all. Peggy Spackman, hello Peggy, and I hope Ross is watching as well. Evening all. Oh wow, this is the dude that his company, a wonderful company, Gel Studios. They designed my Open Doors training website and keep it managed. And frankly, he and I are such good friends now that we sort of like just get our heads together about all sorts of things. And he's watching the show. I don't know whether he's watched on before. So hello Graham, nice of you to join me, mate. That's wonderful. Our very own Emma Strawford. I'm going to rattle through these because we've got to get our guest on. Goose, the hardcore into house. Well, one of them. That's about the usual these days, Mark, isn't it? Get Jeeves to answer that, mate.
How dare someone call it this time of night?
Have you got to go all the way to the West Wing to answer that?
Well, I don't know. Well, I never.
Do you know what? I'm bored. I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted with you right now.
No, I think it's my neighbour. Actually, I can just hear. So helped her out the other day. Very sadly, a cat was put down. So I helped her out. She was very distraught.
Okay. So, well, that ruins the joke I was going to do. I was going to get.
Trying to go from the put damper on.
Yeah. Thanks, mate. Leave me high and dry. And I was even going to go, Alexa, play Who Let the Dogs Out, and that'd be even worse, mate. So I'm not going to do it. No. Pippa Gore, the dancing marshal. Welcome. Hi, Chris. Speed Queen, Dancing Queen, checking in. Great to see that you're in there. And yes, the current Mrs. Dawes, as you requested, has indeed kept me topped up. We'll see how that one goes. Evening all, hope you enjoy your gin. Evening all, Keith Rain. Where's your profile picture gone, Keith? Because normally it's got our T-shirts on, hasn't it? Good evening, Sidekick Davis. You've been relegated, mate.
Well, it's true, though, isn't it? Like I said, every Batman has a Robin, doesn't he? That's the thing.
Jeff Gendel, evening all. Wow, 40 episodes. Thank you for putting them all on. It's been fantastic to have kept these shows going, and thank you to all the guests you have had over this time. We've had some amazing guests, and hopefully we're going to have even more this year. That's the plan. There you go. Speak of the devil, RPB himself. Evening, everyone. Stay safe and well. Hey, Thomas, says Emma. You're in trouble for that one. Charlie Kethrow, evening all. Hope you're keeping well. Jed Doyle as well. Dilly, good man. Chris Pearson, the Tog, he's also saying evening, gents. Right, I'm going to have to make sure that I'm just trying to make sure I'm not missing anybody out because they'll get upset. Phil Lowe, evening, guys. Hope you're both well. Jamie Peters Ennis, evening. I'm listening, but on the sim. Hey, I thought men couldn't multitask. Impressed. Lewis's coach is Angela Cullen, so he's just had a bit of contact there. Thank you.
Google her.
Oh wow, look at that, David Vass. Good evening, Chris and Tom. Looking forward to my COVID jab tomorrow. Good man. Glad that you're getting that. And I hope your health is well. Incidentally, that reminds me. Quick shout out. Don't forget, the last I heard is that we're still looking for championship coordinators for the Formula Fords and the hot hatches. If anybody is interested and available, even if at the moment it's just to find out more, please. Is that you, Align? I don't know. It probably isn't you, is it?
What's that? Sorry.
Who would they contact? Would that be Ken?
I think it's at the moment, Steve Weston, or Ken, or Richard, or myself, whatever. Yeah, I can pass details on and get a free Facebook.
Yeah. So even if at the moment you just want to find out,
absolutely.
Put it this way, and I know that here we go. Matt Coyle says, "Evening, guys." Matt Coyle's the Saloon Car Championship coordinator. Yeah. And to put it in perspective, is that he had bad news where his business was shut down, even though it was like just him and he was just detailing cars. They decided that it had to be closed down, bizarrely, and then was offered a job in a supermarket. Go figure. Let's not get political. But he was gutted, and all of a sudden the pickup was being confirmed as being the Saloon Car Championship coordinator again this year. So if anybody is unsure whether it's something they do or don't want to do, have a chat with Matt Coyle. He's then not linked, he's not Castle Combe. Find out questions you got from us. It'll be good to have you on board. Kevin White, evening, dudes. And finally, Emma Mason herself, dudes. Hey. Right. On that note, rattled through them. I told our next guest it was going to take ages. I think just before we bring him on, really, I just build it up, mate.
Well, no, absolutely. So, Brian, I know you've spoken to him and you've settled his nerves as you always do with all our guests. Because we always say that he's not. I think people worry, don't they? They're going to come on and it's technology always. People get a bit thinking there's all sorts of things they got down. They don't have to. It's really simple. And then obviously we just then you say watch some of the. I don't think that's a good idea when you say watch some of the other shows.
No, probably not.
That's a good thing or a bad thing. But I just think you're getting. So Brian James is going to come on and we'll talk a little bit about him and. Because he's a fascinating guy, and his website and the artwork, and obviously the stuff that we've done. But then there's got the big reveal as well. So hopefully, if he's hearing this, we don't want him to just to get it out straight away. So but I'm really excited.
The Bishop.
Yeah, well, I've been dealing with Brian now for 5 years probably now, and.
Pull your microphone away from your collar, will you, mate? We're getting lots of noise.
Yeah, I might have to come. I think it's
fine, but it's
all right.
So
headphones on my way out as well. So he's a great guy. We normally meet at Autosport where we hand over the artwork and have a fantastic photo and everything's all good to go. But unfortunately, due to Autosport this year. We thought we'd get him on the show and do this. So yeah, without further ado, I guess, Chris.
What?
Poor chap, he's in the background.
Brian.
Good evening, gents.
Welcome, Brian. Thank you.
Sorry we kept you
Nice
waiting
to see
there,
you.
mate.
That's
We had
all
to
right.
catch up with
No
everyone.
problem.
And what an amazing sight there behind
Look at
you
that.
is
Yeah.
the, you know, the photos is just brilliant. Sorry, the prints is amazing. And I have to say, the one directly above your head, I know you and I were chatting offline, Brian, that I was looking, and I'm going to show people these in a minute, is that on Brian's website, which let me just make sure I, where is it? There it is. brianjames.biz.
Yeah.
Go and have a look. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. On the back, right above your head, I was saying, I was going through the list and going, oh, that's my favorite. Oh, no, that's my favorite. And you can buy these prints, everybody, and they are limited numbers and they're signed,
all
by
signed,
Brian
limited.
as well.
Yep.
That one above you was one of my favorites. I genuinely, I'm looking, where was it? There we go. It is the Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR, which in reality is that very relevant for our second guest, because it looks like they're off doing the old style GT race, the Grand Tour. It's just beautiful. And I have to say, Brian, I love how the background is sort of, how should I say it? Because I'm going to say cartoony. That's not what it is, but compared to the car, the car is very
style.
I don't know. Sorry.
Stylized is the word.
Well, because my point being is that it wasn't meant derogatory. Is what I mean is the cars. You've got reflections in it. They look positively alive, and it's that great contrast between the two that looks stunning.
Yeah, that's what I tend to do. The cars are in quite high detail, and then the backgrounds are very much simplified, and that's generally the way I do things.
Brian, I mean, the reason we want to get you, obviously one of the reasons we want to get you on, because you've been doing the artwork now for 5 or 6 years. But I mean, I didn't know a huge amount about you. Obviously, I inherited you from Neil and everything else, and we've gone from there. But I mean, I said to Chris when I was talking about getting you on, because I said, you know, you have more talent in your little finger than Chris and I do combined. And you know, I honestly, I mean, how did this come about? Is this been something you've done the last few years, or is it always been a skill? Well,
I mean, I've been drawing things since I was old enough to hold a pencil, really. And I went to art college. Then I got worked in advertising for 7 years and ended up as an art director. And while I was an art director, one of the art director's jobs is to commission illustrators and artists and people like that. And I got to think that, well, I can do that. And so I decided to give it a go. And that was 40 odd years ago, and I'm still doing it. So, you know, it's been quite a journey. But I haven't always done cars. I've only done cars for really the last 15 years, I guess. And before that, I was just doing general advertising work and working on everything from Cadbury's chocolate bars to Rolls-Royce jet engines, really. So, you know, the whole gamut of things, really.
I was about to say, how can you say I was just doing advertising when, you know, when I look at this, we've got the names such as Barclays Bank, British Airways, Boots, Cadbury's, Jaguar, London Transport, Volkswagen. That's not just advertising, Brian.
And now Castle Combe circuit, obviously, you know, that's the cherry on the top.
I need to update the website, don't I?
You do, because I know it says you have been commissioned to illustrate the BMW sponsored concourse from 2009 through 2013. So you need to update it, mate, because it's amazing what you've done. That was talking present tense, whereas of course that's past now. But you know, just looking through that, and it's interesting because, you know, obviously my passion is commentating, as we know, and of course my hero is Murray Walker. And of course, he was totally into the marketing, wasn't he? He apparently came up with the Mars slogan, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. In fact, one of the guys I work with, he worked with him at one time at the agency he was at in London. So,
wow.
So there we are. Long while ago now, though.
So to check then, your passion was the art, and I know it's got here that you went to Birmingham College of Art. You identified that your favorite was very much the Art Deco style. Or, in fact,
right.
Not just that style, that whole era was your obsession, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I think I can first remember sort of Art Deco really when I was quite small, and we used to go on holiday to the seaside and things. And it's an architectural style that you often see up the coast. And I really like those generally white painted buildings that you get there. And, that's long before really I knew what Art Deco was. And, it's really sort of gone on from there. And I'm very much enthusiastic for all types of Art Deco. I mean, I suppose my inspiration for these paintings really comes from the 20s, 30s railway posters. That's the sort of thing where I sort of got it originally. But it's just, my interest covers all the aspects of Art Deco, architecture and graphic design and industrial design and all the rest of it. And that's why I particularly like a lot of, 20s, 30s cars, like the one over my shoulder here, which is sort of an Art Deco style of 1930s car, Delage, I think.
I've got it down as a Delahaye.
Oh, Delahaye, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I know that, for example, Mike Cotton said, is that an Auburn behind Brian? And if he's referring to that one, the answer is not quite. It's a Delahaye.
It's Delahaye, that's right. Yeah.
So, do you? So, Brian, obviously we come to you and we'll talk a little bit about the artwork you've done previously for us and obviously this year's. And we come to you with an idea normally, and all the artwork that you've done for us has been normally from our history, the cars that have actually raced at the circuit, and Peter Stowe has been absolutely, he really has helped with that because he knows the history and he's guided us all through with it. And if we've got something wrong, he always picks us up on it, but which is great. But so is it so customers will come to you, with obviously an idea, and are these in the background? Are these just ideas that you had in your mind as well, or is it all commission?
These ones behind me are ones I've just done for my own interest.
Right. Wow. Okay.
And hopefully, I will sell the original artwork and also sell a run of prints from them.
Yeah.
So that's when I've got no commissions on, I will do things like this and get them up on my website and hope somebody bites.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And it is important. I've put down the bottom there, brianjames.biz. Go and have a look. Preferably watch the show first, but go and have a look. And you've got the about section is really interesting to read. But the third option is your commissions and galleries. And honestly, they're thumbnails. And in fact, let me do it now. I think now's the perfect time to do it. Right. Let me see, which one do I want? It's galleries. That one there. Right, so this should hopefully now, any second now, come up on the screen. So I'm going to put this up to, if you don't mind for a second, indulge me. I'm going to put this up to full screen. So what you've got is you've got all the thumbnails of the different ones, and they look good, but they don't do it justice. You then click on them. Like I'm going to do this one that surprised me. This one was the one possibly that has done as my favorite, and it's the 1933 beautiful. Alpha. And I mean, you look at the detail, and this is what I said, is that apologies that I butchered my description of it, but I'm not an artist. Simplified the background, and that is the better way to put it.
Yeah.
That deliberately, I would assume, Brian, contrast behind the detail, including the reflections. I mean, look at the reflections in the bodywork on this. It's just stunning.
It is. They are beautiful, aren't they? I think that's the thing that we've had with the. I'm lucky. I've got all of the originals in my office, and the attention to detail on your work is something else.
Well, I do try to get as much detail as possible, and also get the detail right, because I have been to various exhibitions. I used to do the Silverstone Classic. I used to have a stand there, and you always get somebody who comes along and points something out that's wrong. So the idea is to try and get it right in the first place.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, is that not the risk, Brian? Is that where you go to the level of detail you have, is that you're leaving yourself open for people to say that?
You are really, yes, absolutely. But with so many of the cars I do, which are generally special cars and things, often they come in several different guises. Details alter all the while on them. Particularly if you're trying to do racing cars as well, because often they change from every race almost. So where do you go to pick up the definitive version of it? So
I think you have to also appreciate it is art as well. I think that's the other thing, isn't it? We always said with the Autumn Classic, when we've had these discussions, ultimately, it's a piece of it's advertising the event, but it's a piece of art. That's the point, that you buy a piece of any piece of art. You buy it because you love it, because you like it, because it means something to you. Whatever. It's, yes, the detail is important, but actually, it's not a photograph. It's not a technical drawing. It's a piece of art.
It is my interpretation of it, really. But I just try to get that interpretation as accurate as possible.
That's why I've deliberately zoomed on this one. I mean, look how you've even got the mechanics reflection in that stunning chrome car. I mean, absolutely beautiful 1938 Auto Union Type D. The same as I said that I still can't decide. This possibly is one of my favorites that you've got behind you there. Yeah, because I mean, it looks, not only stunning car with the detail of the numbers and the two drivers sat there, but you get the feel of the speed there as well, that they're going, it's not just a stationary image. They are literally going along the road in this GT race.
Yeah.
Stunning. And I mean, that's the whole point, is have a look at these guys. These are there. And it even says, these are limited to just 100 copies, signed and numbered, so you will know which one it is. Brian James, I know I'm very lucky that I have a print, thanks to. Let me just. I'm going to remove that for a second. Thanks to how long ago was it? 2 years ago, I got the Best Dressed award, which of course is the framed print, and that sits very, very proudly in my office.
In
my studio/office. It's a big deal.
It is, and I think that segues it nicely into So Brian, just for those watching as well, so 2015, Neil Thomas, who used to have organised this event after Rodney had retired, and he came to you, didn't he? I think with an idea that he wanted to sort of launch this artwork.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. He came to me, and I was very very happy to oblige. And it's gone on from there. So
I think that was the BR. I'm reading from my notes. I wasn't around at that point.
No, that was
the event.
You were born by then, mate. You were not that. Sorry, don't try to pretend you're that young, mate.
I did attend it. I wasn't working with it. I did attend it. It was a beautiful, glorious day, actually. It was a lovely day, and it was and I think that the artwork had set. Neil had seen other events. He'd seen that what the potential was with the Autumn Classic, and really wanted to identify. And the thing is, with the circuit has always got so much history. So he kind of had this idea, and hopefully the BRM was going to be running as well. But unfortunately,
it didn't. Did it in the end?
No, it didn't, unfortunately. And then I think that spurred us on into 2016. Again, I was on the periphery then. Neil was still working at the circuit then, and that's the famous the Ferrari, isn't it? The 250 GTO.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think that's a stunning picture as well. That's a beautiful, beautiful car. And that's on my wall in the office, and it's a beautiful picture. I'll have to take this out. It's getting crackly, am I?
It is just against. It works fine. Still use it, but it's against your collar. So take.
I'll try with that. If you get feedback, just let me know. So
it works well. Just don't put it against your collar. So do a whole,
Okay. Well, we'll try with that and see how we get on. Can you hear me all right?
No.
It's ruining it. So that's 2016, but we actually were lucky enough to have a 250 GTO there that belonged to Nick Mason. And I think that's been another thing, isn't it, with the icing on the cake with these events, is where we've tried to have the car that's been on the artwork at the event as well.
Yeah, this is it.
And that's been something that we've tried to do where possible with it as well. And then I say 2017 is when I came in on the fold, really, and I guess picking up picking up sort of a bit of a legacy, really, with the last few that have been done. And that's when we didn't really know where we wanted to go. And I think I kind of wanted to mix it up a little bit. We'd had the closed wheel sort of cars. And I think I said, do you know what, a single seater? And we went for a sort of very early 70s. And that's when we had, it was a Formula 5000.
That's right. Yep.
And I love that. And that was absolutely, it's a phenomenal, I think it's a real we haven't done something quite similar, to be honest, have we? I think we haven't really done anything like that since. No. And then that actually came to the event as well, and ran, and that was just unbelievable. That was, and the chap took we had a hoarding done on the back of the what do you call it, where they get the winners podium, sorry, and the chap took it away with him and put it in his workshop. He couldn't believe how detailed it was and everything else. So that was great. That was 2017. Yeah, and then 2018 we went into.
Tom, just stop you. Plug your mic back in. Do it back in again, mate. It was better with them in, to be honest with you.
I'll try and keep it away from my shirt. Sorry. So and then in 2018, we had the GT40, didn't we? Which
that's right. Yeah.
Being chased by the 917K, wasn't it? I think was it. I think we did it. I think it was a Porsche we had chasing it.
Can't remember actually.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. And that was because it was the 50th anniversary of the GT40.
40, yeah.
Won the victory at Le Mans, which was in 28 and 29 September 1968 to be precise. Yeah. And that was that car represented that was Ron Fry's GT40, and he had. That was his Ferrari, previously on there as well. Ron Fry, I've been told by Peter, he wasn't actually related to the Fry family, the chocolate family. He was a garage owner in Bristol, but he basically he had a really long history and relationship with the circuit racing, had these fantastic cars, and was known for that in the 60s and 70s. Mm-hmm. So that was, and I think that was another one that I just. Oh, there you go. There's Chris there and myself. Oh, there you go. And yeah,
it was the 2018 GT40 that I got. There
you go.
Hey? How did I get dressed in that outfit?
So yeah, and that was. I think that was just again a beautiful car. And we had a lot of GT40s come along for that event as well. And then 2019, we took a little look back, didn't we?
The Lotus
Cortina, Mark 1 Cortina, and that was to represent a real golden era, really, of the circuit as well. And Vince Woodman, that was Vince Woodman. He came to that event. I haven't heard from his family recently. I have no reason to believe I believe he's still with us. He was in a nursing home. He's extremely poorly, but he actually came to the event. His family brought him along, and he spoke to Pat Strawford and a few other people. And he said he's quite a poorly gentleman, but his face lit up, and the family was so honoured and pleased that we had done that. That we put that in there for him, because he used to race. His history at Combe goes back a long way, and there's lots of famous. He'd raced all across the country. Lots of famous stories of him, and possibly we might even put the Capri, his Cologne Capri, on a piece of artwork at some point, because that car was pretty legendary as well. Yeah. But his stories of him flying between Thruxton and ourselves and doing 2 races in a day, and winning one and coming second in the other, and things like that. So, and I remember Vince as a child, because he lived in the same had a business in the village there where I grew up. So that was another fantastic, just great. And then we had obviously in that picture as well. There was Ron Fry and his, I think it was Ron Fry and his Mini. No, sorry, his Anglia. Sorry, and F Mabs in the Jan Speed Mini. So it's all cars. I think my point is it's
all things that have raced with you. Race there. Yeah.
And we always scan it in, don't we, from the grey sort of pictures that we've got in the 50s and 60s book. And then Peter, bless him, he comes across to us and he said, "Oh, it should be this green or that blue or that pink."
Yeah, that's right.
And we go backwards and forwards. And then 2020 was going to be obviously crikey, but it was going to be a huge year for us all because it was the 70th anniversary of the circuit. Which was obviously a huge milestone for us. And the event was 2 days. And the artwork was the Stirling Moss in his 1950 Cooper 500, because he famously crashed at the circuit and never raced there again. And you did the detail on that; it was just amazing. Where you got the look of him and everything. I remember people commenting on it to say actually looked like him.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I know I searched through loads and loads of reference material to get a good image of him at the right age. Really, that's the thing. There's plenty of him recently, but it's the things when he was just starting out. Yeah. So anyway, I
noticed that it was the right way up as well. I noticed, unlike the photo we've got of him in the Strawford Centre, of him upside down, of course, up at Quarry Corner.
yeah.
Right, do you out of the ones that you've done, and hopefully you'll do many more for us in the future, but do you have a favourite out of the ones you've done so far?
Well, I should say the latest one, really, shouldn't I?
Not at all. No one's seen it yet. No one's seen it.
I don't know. I always like the Ferrari GT40. I always like that one. But yeah.
I think they're all unique, aren't they? They're all.
Isn't there almost like a poignancy to last year's one that it was Stirling Moss? I know that we had a very emotional show, didn't we? I know that we did a sort of a little. I did a little speech at the beginning of that show just after he'd sadly passed away, and it was hard.
But we'd commissioned the artwork before that.
Exactly. That's what I mean. So the irony being is that was done, and it just adds even more to that artwork.
Absolutely. No, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I guess we come on to this year, really, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
This year's artwork. So I mean, it's another great piece. Again, history involved with the circuit. And there's a couple of other themes in there as well that fit really nicely with things. And I think, without much further ado, I guess we can do a handover. Look, we can hand it over. Literally, look, here it comes. Look at that. Look at it, here it comes.
Wow!
And there we go.
So
absolutely beautiful.
Yeah,
stunning. I mean, the poster I've got is that's just stunning. That is beautiful.
I mean, not just the cars. Look at the historic race control centre there and everything. It's just...
Well, we had quite a discussion over the background, didn't we?
As we always do.
As we always do, yeah. But to get the right era for the cars. Yeah. And of course, it's with the E-Type, it's their 60th, isn't it? 60th anniversary this year.
It is, yes, it is. So, Peter's given me. It says Jaguar E-Type launched March 1961. The artwork is Ken Baker in his Jaguar E-Type. The first Castle Combe E-Type race appearance and win 9th of June 1962. Circuit reopening meeting, the first car race meeting since 1955. Ken Baker in the GT race. Baker also won the GT races at the two other 1962 meetings. Baker's E-Type 76W was a 1961 built car. So that car is actually still around as well. Wow. And we're trying to track it down. It is still around.
Yeah, I found a lot of photographs of it on on the internet. Still, looks a bit modified now, but.
Well, yes,
wide wheels and things. But,
yes, absolutely.
Hey, careful! Don't let Vanessa and Flavian hear that. She's down in the green room. They'll be like, wrap the drain pipe on that one.
No, absolutely. And the good news is as well. I'm just going to send Chris the link. Chris, if you can pop it, you can pop it up. But these are available to purchase as of this evening.
Anyone would think that you were the sales and marketing director, mate.
Well, got to make a living. Got to make a living. Got to make a living.
But listen, very quickly, going to put Chris Pearson, Todd Pearson says, fantastic to that piece. Tim Perry, wow, it's brilliant. It is amazing. Emma Strawford, fantastic piece as always. Mike Cotton, beautiful. Let me put you up to that full screen there for a second. William Wallace. Is that Braveheart? I can't remember. Brilliant yet again, Brian. Tim Perry says, yeah, there you go. Tim Perry, you are so talented there, Brian. And Chris Pearson, of course, he's trying to get infield access for photos like that. Yes, if only, mate. That goes to show the change in the times as much as anything else, Chris. So you know it. Jeanette Blows, like, love heart eyes and thumbs up. They're loving it. That's the key thing. Which is exactly what we want to hear. Right, now, this private one that you sent me, let me just copy that link address and put this up there and show. There you go. Crikey, I did that seamlessly. You didn't even know I was doing it, other than the running commentary. I can't stop commentating, can I? I've even got to commentate on what I'm doing. Goodness me. So castlecombeCircuit.co.uk/offers/2021-autumn-classic-poster-A3. That's a lot of detail in that address. Crikey. Does that mean, is there a -A4 if I want a smaller one?
No. One size fits all. One size fits all. We are hoping that, and a lot of the other posters, and not just posters, but from the other from last year, we've got other. So this metal signs, key rings, all sorts of things available as well on the website, on the shop. So please have a look. But we are hoping that once we get some news of this pandemic and we get moving along a little bit more, we will have other options of things. But at the moment, the post you wouldn't be surprised, but we get a lot of people collect them and they have the full set. And I'm sure in the coming weeks we will see. I can't remember. There's a gentleman he might be watching. Actually, I can't remember who it is off the top of my head. But he's got them all the posters there in his office or his work den or whatever. So people do love them. Absolutely love them. And I think it's a big purchase for the circuit, and I say we've got them all there. But there's Chris getting his top up. But it's it means a lot to a lot of people. I think the history there, and I've had people say, I think it was actually Dave Vass. Actually, Dave's still watching. I think a couple of years ago, and he said he remembered Ron Fry racing. And I think that means a lot to a lot of people. So great. So thank you very much for it.
Pleasure. Really
thank
you very much.
No, not at all.
Just quickly then, Brian, I just want to take something that I suddenly was conscious that we kind of, unsurprisingly, with so much to sort of like get excited about as we veered away, is that obviously, we said it wasn't just only marketing with the people you're involved in. Then it became more on the motorsport and the cars. Now, was that a passion you actually did have before away from art?
Yeah.
Was it new?
Yes. No. Cars have always been a thing with me. The thing is, I was born in Birmingham and grew up in Birmingham, which is obviously the centre of the motor industry, and that was always, it was always a big sort of interest the whole my life, really. And it just sort of keeps going.
Well, in which case then did you? I mean, because that sounds like it's like you've married up what you were doing, if you like, professionally, but obviously there was still the joys of what you do, which I can relate to with what I do, is that you were already bringing passion and profession together as well with art anyway. But you've then brought another passion,
another aspect,
to it,
of my interest into it. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Did you go looking for that, or did it find you? As a next stage, if you like.
Well, it was. I'd done one or two, and it was somebody who suggested that I should perhaps do a few more and go to, I think it was Race Retro, and show these things there. And it went down very well there. And I sort of got on a, on the conveyor for doing that all of a sudden. I had drawn odd cars before that, but I was mostly concentrating on whatever anybody came up with. As I say, I've done a whole range of things, and it was at the right time as well, because a lot of the work I had been getting, advertising work had been getting, was tending to dry up a little bit, because the rise of computer graphics and that sort of thing was tending to make a lot of my work redundant in a way. And I did, at one point, I did think about which way to go, whether I should go fully computerized or, go down more of a fine art route. And in the end, I went down the fine art route, because I reasoned that there'd be far more people going down the computer route, and the fine art route would be a little bit emptier, as it were, and it'd give me a little bit more room to maneuver.
Well, Jeanette Blow there says, "Great work, Bri." That's very familiar. Keep it going. Don't shoot the messenger. Keep it going. And the reason I've shown that is it kind of sums it up. Is that you're saying there, oh, should I go that and adapt to what it is? And I know that in a lot of things in life you kind of have to. Yeah. I'm glad you didn't, because your skill set, your passion, your belief, your flair is clearly what we're seeing behind you. And like, for example, Lynn Hoyer said, the picture behind Brian is gorgeous, but the posters are amazing. Not easy showing movement or speed in a painting. Paul Wiltshire says computer graphics will never beat fine art. They're very clever, and it's not supposed to be. I know it was in your environment in the end. It's not supposed to be directly competitive. It was for your employment and your money making at that point, I guess. But the fact that you've stuck with what was passionate. Now, this then leads on to my next question, that was to then be able to couple together the professional passion, if you will, to the boyhood passion, i.e. the car and racing. Did you find, if you could look at your artwork, was there an additional flair that appeared because you coupled those two things together, do you think?
That is hard to say, really.
Has anyone else said it to you then?
Nobody's ever, I've never thought of it in that way, actually. Nobody's ever asked me that before. And I don't know. There might be a little bit more. I mean, some of the things I was asked to paint previously, I didn't have a great deal of interest in. But whenever I try to do something, I always try to do it, to obviously the best of my ability, and also to whatever the client wants. But
it's the same.
It's hard to say.
I know when I commentate, for example, my role professionally is to be down the line. But there might be the occasional things that get an octave or so higher. To my voice, I know Tom accuses me of, because fine, invariably it'll be because it's exciting, but there might just be something that gets my imagination a little bit more. And no matter how unbiased I try to be, I'll get sucked into it.
Yeah, it's not about being sort of uncommitted or anything else, but I suppose it's just, I enjoy what I do, really. I mean, that's the basic thing. I mean, I'm really being paid for things that I really love doing, which is, as far as a job and a profession goes, is fantastic. And I always feel that I'm very lucky to be in a position to be able to do this and have done it for so long.
Which again I can relate to, not the so long bit yet, but I can certainly relate to the
keep at it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I hope so. Fingers crossed. It's going well so far. But I've been doing it now 11 years, and I'm the same as you. You probably do the same as me. Then pinch yourself that you get to make a living out of the things that you love and passionate about and enjoy, and it is special, and you can see it in your work. I mean, genuinely, everybody, please go brianjames.biz. You've got to go and have a look. and have a look at the prints. You know, they're available for you to buy, and genuinely you will click on them. And the great thing is, I love the design you've got, by the way, on your website, that you can open up even just the first one, and it does, and this might sound basics, but it has a next and previous, so you can flick through them. And I say that because there's a lot of things, whether it's photos or artwork, that you open one and then you got to close it down and open the next one.
Yeah.
Flick through it, because it will kill you, because you go, oh, that's my favorite. Oh no, that's my favorite. You will lose yourself, but it's a wonderful way to lose yourself for a little while. It is just beautiful. Question that's come up, I don't know whether you know the answer or not, from Simon Bartle. Looks fantastic. Basically what he's saying, that one above you, so we know that's the Mercedes, is the silver one. What's the red car in front of it?
Austin Healey 100.
What does he mean on the artwork? There's a red car on the new artwork.
Oh, did you mean the artwork? Sorry. Okay. It might be. So answer both of them. Oh, let me get rid of that banner a second, because we can't see it. There we go. Yeah, what's that?
That's the Ferrari 250 GT.
Okay. So apologies if I got that wrong, Simon, but hopefully we've answered by answering both of those there. Okay. Yeah. Odds game, it always wins. Incidentally, while we're doing that, Simon Pedrick says, thanks, Brian. Another wonderful poster. Can't wait to add this one to the previous 6 that grace my stairs and landing and look fantastic.
Thank you, Simon.
Incidentally, by the way, and are they able to go back and get any previous ones? And this is a question, Tom. I don't know the answer. I probably should.
Yes, I don't think we don't think we have copies of every year up at the moment. But it'll have to go through. There's a lot on our website and in the shop. But yeah, there are posters. I'm trying to remember which years. I don't think there's any 15 left. I'd have to look. There's some. Yeah, there are varying ones on there. So you just go on and have a little look. You can't flick through, unfortunately, like Brian said, but they definitely are on there. And there's old programs on there for the Autumn Classic as well. Some other bits and pieces. So yes, to answer your question, not sure which every year's on there, but definitely some are. I know last year's is still on there, I believe, and I think I remember seeing 18 and 17 potentially, but I'm not sure. I don't think we've got any 15 and 16. But I could be wrong without going on, and which I can go on in a minute and have a little look.
But the 18 that they buy doesn't say Best Dressed Award like mine does it?
No, absolutely.
It pays to look like something from Scooby-Doo and all of that. Just quickly going to put up our very own David Vass. Apologies, I'm blocking you out at the minute, Brian. I'll bring you back in a second. But I marshalled right from the reopening meeting and have a photo I took in the paddock of my first ever sighting of an E-Type. Ron Fry raced at just about every meeting in a Ferrari 250 GTO, and then 250 LM, 275 LM, and then his GT40, which he rolled at Brands. That's some recall there, isn't it, David? I'm impressed with that. Brian, that's the kind of thing that your art manages to evoke, is those kind of memories and emotions and everything.
Well, that's what I set out to do, really. To sort of go back to these past eras, which are all bathed in a golden glow now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, unless there's anything else that either of you want to say.
No, Brian, thank you very much for your time. No, thank you, Brian.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Brian. Hugely appreciate it. Amazing piece of art. As you know, not just us in a biased sense saying it. You've seen it from the people that are watching, loving it. And again, let me just quickly put that back up as well. So as well as Brian James.biz to see all the artwork, go to this castlecombecircuit.co.uk offers 2021 Autumn Classic poster in A3 size.
And sorry, Chris, I just had a quick look. There are some 15 and 16 ones on there actually as well, and they are on special offer because I know we were trying to clear out some of the stock. So if you do need them or want them, they're on there at a really good price actually at the moment as well. So maybe if you're buying the new one, add some of the older ones to your stock as well.
Absolutely love it. Well, on that note, Brian, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Brian. Take care.
Thank you very much, and we'll speak again soon, hopefully. Okay.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
And good evening. I'm just going to play an advert and we're going to get our next guest up.
Becoming a racing driver has never been easier with Castle Combe Circuit. Book your Ards Novice Drivers training course at the Wiltshire venue today. The easiest and quickest way into competitive on-track action.
Welcome to Castle Combe. My name's Alan Cooper. I'm the Chief Driving Racing Instructor here at this circuit. We're here today to do the Novice Driver Training course, often known as the ARDS course, which is the first way to start off and get your racing driving licence. So, no further ado, let's get on and show you what's involved.
So you've seen the format. Everyone here today passed their tests and now have their racing licence. Who knows? The next time I see them could be as I commentate on them in front of the usual packed house of racing fans here at Castle Combe Circuit. All you need to do to be next is to visit castlecombecircuit.co.uk and select Become a Racing Driver under the Racing tab. Becoming a racing driver is easier than you think with Castle Combe Circuit and Motorsport UK.
So there you go. It's that's how to become a racing driver. Yeah, did we catch you mid something there, Tom?
No.
You look suspicious there, mate.
Always. No, just great, isn't it? I mean, Brian's such a lovely chap. Obviously, I've had the pleasure of meeting him a number of times, but just a great guy, and I knew it could be good to get him on. Fascinating as well.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And it was, as soon as I started doing, as people know, I make a big point of researching as much as I possibly can, but I've been so busy, it wasn't until this afternoon. I was looking and going, not just drooling through those images, but hearing the past, which is why it's like, no, Brian, it's not just did marketing for it. It was amazing stuff, amazing artwork that he's done. Looking through that list, I was like, I've got to step away for now. I've got to wait, it's January. I've got to wait for the Christmas spend to go. Because there's a whole I could get it framed and it would be beautiful.
Look, Chris, because you've done a lot for us, I will do you a deal on an Autumn Classic poster. Honestly, mate, I'll knock off the postage and packaging for you because it's you. All right.
I must be honest and say, I've never been so scared as hearing you say, "I'll do you a deal." That honestly scared the bejesus.
I'm pretty sure you've had that before. Anyway, look, I'm really excited. This is great. I mean, it's like I said, normally meeting Brian at the show and we do the whole artwork thing and everything else, but it's been great to actually get him on and show so many people this evening. And I love the Autumn Classic. You love the Autumn Classic as well. And
I'm quite gutted. I absolutely love it, and as well as anybody else, I'm Paul Pillar to Post, which is, again, we were saying with Brian, it's a privilege what I get to do, and I missed the Autumn Classic last year because I was covering British GT and Formula 3 up at Netterton, I think it was. We got 2 days in, by the way, just so you know. Only just. But it was, really, really horrible weekend. But I was up there, and I think I got a horrible feeling I'm missing it this year. I can't remember where I am for that, but it's just that said is that we've got people that I'm acutely aware that I'm old, but I'm not old enough to sort of have the knowledge that there's some commentators that have the experience of these things, that to add that knowledge on the mic, I think is very special for those days. So I am gutted that I'm missing it because I love it. It's so special. That one we saw with a photo of me is that I was down doing all the interviews and everything, and I had my shy, reserved, normal personality to it with that kind of attire. And it is special, it is really good. Now, loads of comments. Oh, by the way, I'm just going to quickly bring this one up because I do want to say this. David Vass has done this post and he said, congratulations to Gary Preble for featuring in last week's Autosport as the 2020 Club Racing King. He has won Club Racer of the Year 2020 with his amount of victories and everything. It wasn't just in the Castle Combe saloons. He went off and did something else as well. But our very own Gary Preble, hats off, mate. Absolutely brilliant. Talk about hats off. I feel like I should be... I should be wearing that really for this, shouldn't I? Hey, although Gary Preble keeps on about the fact he wants me to wear this hat more often. That's what he always used to see me in. But
no,
I'm gonna wear me tit for now. So
not your Breakback Mountain hat. That always disturbs me.
See,
so,
I think you've got to keep your imagination to yourself,
right.
mate. You know,
get some things up because we need to. Like I say,
right. We're gonna throw in is that obviously that video that we just had on there is about the ARDS test, and again, don't forget that you can get your racing license at Castle Combe Circuit, as you saw there. By the way, incidentally, you can also get the voiceover artist that did that for your corporate work if you need to.
Very bloody expensive though.
Okay. Was that seamless, mate? Was that seamless?
Very expensive. Okay. Very expensive. Professional-ish, but expensive.
Get what you pay for, mate. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a couple of bottles of gin on anyone's. That's fine. This is a little bit different. This is one of the special this is one of the special organizing clubs that make up our jewel in the crown of the Autumn Classic. And
absolutely,
it is not something that anybody and everybody can go and race in. It's by invite only. It is very tightly controlled, and yet they're absolutely flooded with numbers, even on the invites alone, with amazing cars, amazing drivers. You know, it is so special. Let me put into perspective. Let me go to, where do I want to see it? Right. Message to, and I'm going to say now that the guest is from the GT and Sports Car Cup Club. Sorry, I shouldn't have had the club on. There was too many C's there. But message to the GTSCC family from our very own Ken Davis, of course, the chairman of the Castle Combe Racing Club, who was the clerk of the course on that day as well, the Autumn Classic last year. And I'm going to quote, "The race had a host of challenging dynamics, 90 minutes, 33 charismatic cars, uncompromising circuit," and we know Castle Combe is out at the best of times, "extremely difficult conditions, as we know with sadly losing day 2, and 65 competitive drivers," because of course a lot of them had more than one.
Yeah.
As usual, it was a pleasure to host and clerk the GT and SCC. Driving standards were excellent, very few incidents. I mean, that is testament in itself, wouldn't it? Isn't it?
Yeah, I say, as we'll find out, they're lovely people. It's a fantastically well run club, and they came to us. I think the first time was in 2018, I think it was, and I agree with your dad.
I just quickly say that he's made a comment. Look at the hat he's wearing in that blooming photo. Hey, shut it, Dad.
But they, absolutely, and the cars, the energy, the finesse, the everything that goes into that club. And don't get me wrong, everyone who races, we are very lucky to be supported with the races that we get and the clubs that come, the championships that come and race with the Autumn Classic, and we get to that point where where people want to be at that event. And we were, it's a long story, so I'm sure Vanessa can see, but we were approached by Vanessa and Flavian because people were talking about the Autumn Classic to them and saying, why aren't you there? Why aren't we there racing? We hear it's a great event, we should be there. And I think that's a testament to the event that's built. But like I said, they really are great people, fantastic cars, and we've, touch wood, never have jinxed it now. Never had any issues with the racing. Always a high standard. As you would probably remember, from the changeovers, it's fantastic, and they've got a great lineup.
And I hope Vanessa doesn't mind that I'm going to do this for a second, because I do want to big up the Autumn Classic for a second as well, and I want to put this into perspective. Let me take that up to full screen. Hopefully you can all see that. Look at the calendar: HSCC International Trophy Meeting, Silverstone GP Circuit, Oldtimer Grand Prix Nürburgring in Germany, Autumn Classic Castle Combe, and the Algarve Classic Festival Autodromo Internacional do Algarve, which is an amazing circuit. Is it Formula One go there now, don't they? It just Autumn Classic is featuring in that, and absolutely. I feel honoured that is the case. In all honesty, with this, I mean,
absolutely,
the cars, and the stars are just amazing in this. Always great entertainment.
Yeah.
Every car finished the race last year as well, by the looks of the time sheet that we have. 30 odd cars, absolutely amazing. I think we've bigged up enough, and she's probably blushing in the background now. I'm hoping that she's gone and topped up a gin glass because she's one of us. She's one of us, Tom. She is.
Excellent.
Vanessa, it's not topped up.
Evening, chaps. How can I possibly follow on that introduction? Hi, Chris. Hi, Tom. How you doing?
Hello. Good, thank you. Very good, thank you.
You need a current Mrs. Dawes that keeps you topped up. Having not learned.
Fingers. Yeah, that's it.
You missed it during the award show that we had, and this was her idea, not mine. I hasten to add, but it made me look bad. Is I actually had a bell.
Flavien, where's the drink?
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, Vanessa, and I'm going to say this at the beginning, Vanessa Marçais, you are one half of the dynamic duo. Your husband, Flavien, as well, is that you guys are the heartbeat and the brainchild behind this.
Absolutely. Apologies, Flavien. Somebody's got to do some work on this side of the pond, so he's opted out this evening, and he's doing the hard stuff. We started the series together back in 2007 now, GT Sports Car Cup, from having raced ourselves to then not racing anymore, jumping from one side of the pit lane to the other to organise races. And we actually started with Flavien being French, started our series off in France. So I think the first year we were at Dijon, Pau and Paul Ricard. And then as I managed to drag him the other side of the channel, and we're now going into season 15 this year. So it really is an absolute testament actually to the loyalty of our drivers to have brought the series to where it is today.
And I sort of touched on it really at the start, is it's very much by invite only, isn't it? Because, I mean, first one is that historic racing is in rude health, isn't it, for the last several years in particular?
That makes it sound quite elitist. It's not quite that bad, but yes, we are by invitation only. There is such an appetite, especially with what's been going on in the last sort of 12 months, for people to go out and race and compete. It's their downtime. They're at their absolute best. We have been, the spirit of the series is the best of the best, and Flavien has policed it as best he can. So the cars have to be to Appendix K specification. Original, genuine cars that were a type of car that raced in period in the World Endurance Championship. So we're looking at pre-66 GTs, pre-63 sports cars. And actually, I'd love to comment on Brian's poster. It's the best one yet. Absolutely sensational work. Very fitting for this year, 60th anniversary of the Jaguar E-Type. That'll be a big feature across our races, especially at Combe at the Autumn Classic. So Brian, the work's sensational. Can't wait to get my hands on a copy of that.
Well, I can do you a deal as well on that, Vanessa.
I'll try and protect you from that, Vanessa. You don't want a deal from Tom. But to take that a step further is that, I know that the Jaguar E-Type was going to be a big deal for you elsewhere, and Autumn Classic gets to be a continuation of that this year, doesn't it?
Indeed. I mean, we launched the season going to the HSCC meeting, the Silverstone International meeting with the guys at Silverstone. And the idea came from, obviously, I come from a very Jaguar-based family and background, so there was no doubt that we had to do some form of celebration for the 60th anniversary. And we thought, well, we had so much uptake for the first round of the season that we're going to follow it through for the whole of the year.
That's amazing. Because your father's got is it an XK? Your father's got? I can't remember.
You could call it an XKC type.
Yeah.
Yeah. The DNA, cars are in the blood. We grew up with old rusty XK chassis in the front garden, actually. I remember as a child, steering columns, a battery, and the chassis. How we didn't end up in the local A&E every night, I've no idea. Once the neighbours shut him down, he started his restoration business over 50 years ago, the family business. Is now, Dad's very much part of it. Nick, my younger brother, is running it. So that's where our passion of cars came from.
Yeah, I remember. And
that's the Finberg name, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot of people who recognise the Finberg name. Your father, Aubrey Finberg. That's the right name?
Aubrey, and then Mark, my uncle. Yep. That's
right. And we've clearly got family from married into the family as well. Is that we've got Oliver Marçais saying great stuff.
Good on you, Oliver. Get back to the homework. Off that screen.
I just got someone in trouble there. Ah, well.
That's the next generation who's just managed to get his race license. So it's
fantastic
to get out there as well.
Well, and talking about the generations, I mean, it's so intriguing. You know, Flavian himself, your husband, very promising competitor, and who started at 18 racing as well, through National Formula Renault Caterham Championships. I love that because I get very involved in the Caterham Championships. Then switched to the beloved historics, Grand Prix sports cars and GT cars. It's Grand Prix, so as in the F1 cars.
Absolutely. BRM P180 around Monaco, put it on pole. Sadly, didn't manage the race. The tiny piece on the car broke, but that's motorsport.
Isn't it just? I mean, I have the joys, and again, this year I've already been booked to do the Masters at Donington and the Masters Historic at Brands Hatch, which includes like the last few that I've done. It's like 20-odd Formula One cars around the Grand Prix circuit at Brands Hatch, and they don't take it easy, do they?
No, I mean, it's full on. It's highly competitive historic motorsport in today's world. It's not just your club racing as much as our race series is grassroots motorsport. And the absolute joy of finding your event was we turned up, as you said, we'd been given so much recommendation by the lovely Bristol Mafia, Chris Clarkson, the likes, Julian Bronson, your sponsor. We turned up one event, pissing with rain as it always does, excuse my French, and thought, right, if this is what it's like on a wet weekend, we're coming back here. But could you please do something with the weather, guys? Because we cannot do another wet weekend.
We've requested it.
Yeah, I know.
Tom and God are like that, apparently. Oh no, sorry, it's Graham, isn't it? You and Graham.
Yeah,
sorry.
No, I know it's a touching, but I think it's kind of the testament to it is, apart from obviously last year, you know, the Sunday there was a washout and we couldn't quite have the capacity of the crowds, but people, they don't care. They still come along, and the atmosphere is still good. And I always think it's amazing that people come in. And you know they're parts up there, and we know that we are historic with our grass and everything else. I always say this, we're a little bit rustic around the edges. And I was chatting to Joe Cox yesterday, actually catching up with the lovely Joe, and he said, you know, he just in his circles of the Heelys, I think, you know, people, they just love it, and the atmosphere is fantastic. And you know, and I think it's a real testament to everyone who gets involved. But your garage, when you come in, you know the way you run it. And like I say, obviously, unfortunately, last year the social distancing was a bit different, but everyone's just enjoying it. And what gets me, I think, you're talking to people, and the cars are some are millions of pounds worth as well, aren't they? And I think we forget that they are going out there at Combe, which is, you know, as we know, as they say, challenging circuit, giving it their all. And, you know, like I said, with two drivers or whatever. And I think it was Julian Bronson, was chatting to him last year, and he was in your race. And I think the driver had never driven his car out there that he was sharing with Julian, and they were going hell for leather in the rain. They didn't mess around at all. It was phenomenal, amazing to watch.
No, they're very, very spirited, competitive racers. It's real gentleman driving. Combe it's as you mentioned, it's an incredible spectator circuit. So I can remember seeing the crowds 10 deep on the banking. So the crowds, the atmosphere, it's sensational. But our guys come along. It's not professional. They are amateur weekend racers, but they're doing something to the absolute best of their ability, and it's a total passion. And there's real trust. So they are, you know, they're not door handling, because we absolutely don't allow any contact whatsoever. But there's huge trust between the drivers, and over a 15-year period, they're used to racing each other. That's one of the nicest things. The spirit of the series is so very important. It's not just on the circuit, but actually that we, as you know, we put on hospitality as well for the drivers. So the atmosphere, the convivial atmosphere in the paddock is second to none. I think, Tom, you'll probably recall this year or last year, in the peeing rain, we served all our drivers a picnic lunch. And we had two drivers that turned up from London in their racing 911 on road tyres. They were wearing their race suits when they got there. They did their qualifying. They had their lunch in the pouring rain in their 911, all steamed up, did the race, got driver of the day as a trophy, and drove back to London. I mean, that really is what was about.
And we got to name check them, David Clark and Ben Cussons. Absolutely awesome that they did
Absolutely.
that.
You know, chairman of the Royal Automobile Club, David Clark. How, you know, it doesn't get any better.
It is special. I mean, it's interesting you say, you know, it's club racers, but there's some very cool names in there as well. You know, you've got the likes of Marino Franchitti. We know the Franchitti name is sort of ingrained in motor racing. I've had the pleasure of interviewing Dario a number of times. Great guy. Callum Lockie, you know, he's a name that I've come around with absolutely loads in racing. Andy Wolf, you know, all of these that for you know, different levels on the hierarchy, but they're names that with the different things that I do that you come across time and time again. They need to create their own support groups, I think, to get over the addiction for racing historics, and that's the essence of what we get here, isn't it? They just want to be out there, racing, but more importantly, racing these cars.
Sorry, Tom, but I think you'll remember that Marino teamed up with Gregor Fiskin, and they gave such a chase for the lead of that race, and in the conditions, in the weather, there must be some footage of it somewhere, but that was really a real memory lifetime for the GT and Sports Car Cup. And again, the atmosphere is fabulous. They all totally trust what they're doing out there on the track.
But I was going to say, because it is a competitive marketplace, so what is it that you, Flavian, you know, what is it you're doing, do you think, that you I don't want to give you away your secrets, but do you know what I mean? That what is it that really makes these people want to come along? Because like Chris said, like you said, I appreciate there is it's not exclusive, but like you said, that you want the right people. And I think when people say invitation only, it isn't quite like that, is it? It's not like a Goodwood-esque sort of thing. It's like people who know people. I know, like say, Julian has obviously raced with you a lot over this. But what is those ingredients that what makes it special?
I think it's very, very simple. It's Flavian and I both came from racing backgrounds. I think we know what these guys want. It's not rocket science. It's a service industry we're providing. So, you know, it's about the drivers. They want to turn up. They want an organized event. They want a high profile within reason circumstances. You guys in the family team, hi Emma, if you're watching, everyone tonight, what you put on at Combe is exactly what we want to provide for our drivers so that they can have a really great experience.
Good. That's great.
And she is, by the way, because when you were talking about the weather, she's also commented, I will have a word with Howard Strawford, guys. So she's going to do her best. And I mean, you know, there's what makes it absolutely perfect that we've got you on this show, because this whole Combe TV thing is about the fact that that's what Castle Combe's all about.
It is. The series too. It is a very family. You know, it's family that started it. It's family that run it, and we have generations. We're about. You know, we have grandfathers, grandsons, fathers, sons. We've got mothers, fathers, and sons. We've got a whole cross section, and that's what's built up the true spirit of the GT and Sports Car Cup.
And that the beauty with Castle Combe, as we know, and I'm very passionate about it. You know, we sort of had a joke, and my dad taking a mick out of my hat and then saying "evening, son" and everything. I grew up sort of 15 minutes down the road from Castle Combe Circuit. He was the one when I was like 5 years old. Took me up there, sat up at Quarry Corner, fell in love with racing, fell in love with going racing with my dad. We got to then go to a few other places, like the British Grand Prix we did for like, I can't remember, 10 consecutive years, I think, at Silverstone. We did some British touring car stuff together and all of that. And that was, you know, our thing. Me and my dad would go and do that. We absolutely loved it. I became obsessed with it. I carried on watching even after he and I would, you know, he might not do every meet, I'd still go. And then with girlfriends, and the current Mrs. Dawes even loves it. And of course, it's where I started my commentary career. Now, that is very atypical. In the paddock, you've got generations of racing drivers in there, in our local championships, in people that come and go in visiting championships, in the team that run the show, and up on the spectator banks, you know, in the marshals, that, you know, there's families of marshals that have been there. And it's just why it's such a perfect fit with you guys.
It's passion-led for sure. For us, it's absolutely passion-led. We don't really deal with the arrive and drive market. It just, you know, it just doesn't fit within the series. So it's horses for courses, and so far we're not going to change any of the ingredients because it really works.
Well, that's great. That's great.
It does. And by the way, I'm conscious is that I got partway through the story. So we talked about Flavian that was racing. You yourself raced as well. And you started, by the looks of it, with historic sports cars.
Absolutely. I was thrown right in at the deep end. I did first race I ever did was Pom, get my first signature. Then I did a few BRDC 50 sports car championships races, which in those days were sponsored by Coys. and a few sprints. I did the first 4 Goodwood revivals, which were just mind-blowing. We had a Le Mans start for the first, I think, 98. The first Freddie March race at Goodwood was a Le Mans start. It just doesn't get any better than that.
Wow.
Problem is, I am not competitive on the circuit. And the minute we put Flavien in the car and it went from the back of the grid to the front, Aubrey and I never looked back.
And who's this impressive silverware and well, various colours up there? Whose is this? Is it a mix of?
I think there's probably only one of mine. The majority of Flavien's. One of mine, I think it was the fastest lady of the day at an AC owners club. I probably was the only lady of the day.
But you know, it's a passion, isn't it? Really, and that's the key thing, and that's what you say. You've carried on to it, and you founded the You and Flavien founded the Automobile Historique Limited, which is the parent company of GT and Sports Car Cup. Is that the car sales part, the historic car sales, that is the parent company? So did you found that before GT and Sports Car Cup?
Absolutely. That's our umbrella company. That's our main hub of our business. And the race series just came along as a hobby.
Which reminds me, I should have, and apologies, Vanessa, you were possibly thinking, why haven't you put this up? Is that I've got both GT and sportscarcup.com, and we've got Automobile Historique.
I say I was on the mailing. I don't know if I still am, Vanessa. Steve and I were on the mailing list, and we used to cry every time. There's some of the cars that you'd send through and be like, if you're interested in this at all, and I don't know, there's not enough banks I could rob. Beautiful. And again, I think that's testament to what you guys do. They're not just beautiful cars, but they are the absolutely correct beautiful cars as well, aren't they?
We do try to do with the very best of the best.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at this. I mean, go on to the Automobile Historique website that you see at the bottom there, and you've then got current inventory. Well, I say go and have a look at it if you want to be upset and weep into a pit like I'm going to do tonight. I mean, there you go, Jaguar E-Type as per the artwork, absolutely stunning. And I'm please indulge me for a minute. Look at that, a 1931 Bugatti Type 51, absolutely incredible. Maurice, how do I say this? Trintignant. What was it?
Trintignant.
Thank you. Apologies for butchering that. First racing car with very significant Grand Prix history. Look at that. That just stunning car. That's probably my favorite. When I was looking through the list, this Fraser Nash Sebring, rightly or wrongly, that was the one that got me the most, I suspect.
We had the Fraser Nash family, didn't we? I mean, the Fraser Nash family came along. I think was it last year? Not last year, the year before. Sorry. Great family, lovely people as well.
And there we got even an AC case at Bristol as well. So we got the Bristol name appearing there. Which, incidentally, going back to this, is that even this Fraser Nash has got the 2-litre Bristol engine as well in it. Of course, I mean, just go and have a look. It is just stunning. Right, pick your tongues back off the floor, everybody, and focus on Vanessa and us chatting to her now, not the cars. Let it go. These are not the cars you've been looking for. That's a start.
Oh, yes, they are.
They are. Go and have a look. I mean, just incredible. And I'm guessing that's a fairly fluid thing to keep an eye on what appears in there. That's not just amazing cars. I mean, actually, I kind of went past it, but that very first one, the Lola, I mean, that's with some serious race pedigree as well.
Yeah, we really do try to stick with cars with original, genuine history and a good story.
And I mean, I was lucky enough to met you. Obviously, I've met your father, and really lucky to meet your uncle. He bought 2 cars with him a couple of years ago, and he the 917K, and he's a absolutely fantastic chap as well. I mean, he was just. I forget what I said, because he was just not what I expected from a chap that owns a car that is, well, he himself doesn't know what it's worth, and that's not because he's a multi-billionaire or anything like that, and far from it. It's because as he was saying, and I'm sure, and he would be it's absolutely fascinating, but just such a lovely chap. And I remember it was on the back of the lorry, and this chap appeared, and he's like, "Oh, can you help me get off the lorry, please?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, who's this gentleman?" And we're pushing this car off the back, and my partner was there, and she held part of it, and he's like, "Oh, just hold this." I'm like, "Who's this man? Like this chap?" And he said, "I'm sorry, can we help you?" And he's like, "Oh, it's my car." Oh, right. Okay. And he's and this car. Well, I think the last time they sold one in America with less pedigree was it about $25 million, something like that, I think. And just unbelievable. So you've got all that history and all that as well, haven't you? Because he bought that in the 70s, didn't he?
Absolutely. Aubrey and Mark, they bought their cars way back when cars were totally unfashionable, driven by passion. That particular car is the car that featured with Steve McQueen in the film Le Mans, the Golf Porsche 917. Very, very privileged to have the access to some of these cars, and for him to have bought the car that day to your event was very, very special.
Absolutely. But again, there's so much history of that car, and just a beautiful piece of machinery, but just a lovely chap as well. Again, and that whole passion of it when we were chatting, and he said it's the story of when he went and bought it. He went out to Germany. There was a load of them parked up under snow, and they said, "Well, which one do you want?" And he said, "Well, can you clear some snow off them?" Basically, he was saying, "Cleared." And he's like, "Oh, this one." And then I don't think he knew at the time, did he? I don't think he knew at the time that it had been in the film and everything else. And it was, he said to me at the time, it was a lot of money back then, but he didn't, he just bought it because he liked it. And it's just phenomenal. And I think that's the thing, these cars, isn't it? And any passion, you buy it because you love it. But it's.
That's why Flavian and I love doing what we do. We're meeting people from all walks of life all the time, but the cars are the catalyst. Everybody's got the same passion in common, and that's what makes it so special. And I think that's what makes the GTSCC really, really work, because we have a whole cross section of people, whether they're from the UK, Europe, the States, the Far East. They all come together in the same environment for a weekend of their down leisure time, which I think I said before, and to give them a really fabulous experience of a proper historic motorsport. And that's where the Autumn Classic comes into play, because yes, it's one of the smaller family-owned circuits, but it's so magical, the history behind it all, what you put on there. And Chris, actually, I remember your fancy dress. I think that was the first time that we actually appeared at the event. And it was just, where else do you see that? It's a very, very special event to come to. And we just love supporting you guys. So thank you for having us there.
No, not at all. Not at all. We need, like I said, I was chatting to Joe Cox, yesterday, and Joe was one of the people instrumental in introducing you to us as well. And he's a big, he's into his Heelys and running the Heelys racing and everything. And he was saying, and I said about, because I wanted to try and get him on at some point as well, because Joe's just a fascinating character. And he said, not just the strength of the classics, but the events, but so what over the years you've done it. Is there, apart from Combe, is there any standout moments that you've had other circuits, or is it just Combe? You don't have to, honestly, you don't have to lie, but is there Combe?
That we've been
off the table.
Many fabulous circuits. So I wouldn't want to point my finger at any particular. Over a 15-year period, we've really, really been part of some spectacular events with the series. Each and every one is unique.
Yeah.
It's never absolutely the same grid of cars together. So everyone is a new story.
And that's what I love about you, Vanessa, is you're always so polite, and you answered that beautifully as well.
That was good tap dancing.
We love you, Tom. We want to come back.
Well, as Tim Perry says, thank you to you guys for coming to our circuit and for all the fun you bring. And I think that there's as much about that's felt by people, and it's important. Just quickly to say, Chris Pearson's now said that's his new favourite website, the Automobilista one. Emma Strawford said, and back in the room, she could tell that I was getting hazy-eyed there. Chris Mason, our paramedic, cheeky said, Dawsey, do you remember when they were new? No, it was just a tough paper round, mate. I'm only in my low 40s, so leave it out, son.
I think it's also important to say that Tim Perry there is one of our Orange Army, so to have them, they love to see good quality racing as well.
Oh yeah.
So to thank you to Tim and the Orange Army that are watching tonight. But I think that's another thing they love. They love the Autumn Classic. We try and give them the overalls, and they get involved, and we have when we have the demos and the parades and things. So it all becomes part of the magic of it, doesn't it? In fairness, it all becomes part of it.
Well, without the marshals, we can't race. So we are eternally grateful to all of them. I know the drivers are, and they look out for us. They make sure that it all goes in the right direction.
They'll appreciate that, Vanessa. Thank you.
Right. Exactly. David Vass says we had Freddie March races at Combe in the 60s and 70s and Bark. So again, it's just these amazing memories, and we've had some sort of like almost archivist type knowledge come on our show, and the comments and memories that it evokes from people, and I think that these cars coming to Castle Combe and everything that you present there just takes people back. Now, I haven't got that luxury. I would say I'm sorry to say, but I'm not. It means I'm young enough. But it, there's a lot of people that are able to remember those either at Castle Combe or elsewhere, and it's a big deal. I want to ask a question then, Vanessa, that I would imagine there's probably a predetermined answer to. GT and sports cars. Now, I know they're amazing, but there's a lot of areas in historic racing that you guys could focus on. Why GT and sports cars?
Very good question. I think it's an area of cars that both Flavien and I really understand and appreciate. Flavien had been racing extensively in the category of cars, so we understood the people, we understood the classes, and it was a series that was there for the making. There was a real gap for it, and it literally grew off the kitchen table back in 2007. And from 3 races, I think in the second year we went to probably 5 and then to 7 and brought it back down to 5 again. So it's that era of car which we're very passionate about.
Well, I mean, I love, again, if you go, as we got it there, GT and Sports Car Cup, I love it when you go to the About section and it's got about the GT and Sports Car Cup, and it talks about first half of the 60s, that it was there. Then the FIA GT Cup started the genre rolling in 61, and it just escalated, and more GT manufacturers enjoyed equal status, all those kind of things. Le Mans was the championship's focal point. But the 2,000 kilometers of Daytona, the 12 hours of Sebring, Sicily's Targa Florio. And I mean, crikey, there's been cars almost named on that event, for goodness sake. And Enduros at Belgium, Spa-Francorchamps, Germany's Nürburgring, France's Reims. That you can still go to that circuit, I believe, can't you? You can kind of drive on the...
You can drive on the main road, and they did a few years back. They did actually try and put something together there. I don't think they've got the permission anymore. It's pretty tough to do stuff in France at the moment. Yeah. But it's the series. It's a series of cars that work really well together, and the most important bit, endurance. So it's more than one driver. And we really encourage more than one driver. We do occasionally, if there is the odd solo driver, those circumstances do happen. But it's about the passion of sharing. And actually, most races are won or lost in the pit lane.
And you mentioned pit lane. Of course, the big thing with GT, i.e. Grand Tour racing, was it wasn't just on circuits.
All the things that we do are on circuits, but yes, I mean, you've got many events that were road events, open road events, incredibly dangerous in period. But I think what we're doing, and this is something that you've really made relevant, is we are recreating history.
Yeah,
exactly right. And I know, as you say, we can't recreate, sadly, as much as we wish we could. But you're talking about the Great Britain's iconic tourist trophy, Bridgehampton, New York, with mountain climbs such as Unveiled in Switzerland. But I know, for example, I can always picture Stirling Moss. We talked about Stirling Moss was the feature of the artwork last year by Brian. And sadly, we lost a wonderful man there. Not just a wonderful racing driver, but a wonderful man. And he was very much into that GT, the Grand Tour racing. And picture him in all those different cars. But even the names you mentioned, drivers of the caliber of Joe Bonnier, Jim Clark, Olivier Gendeblen, Dan Gurney, the American, Hans Hemmerman, Graham Hill, Phil Hill, Bruce McLaren, Stirling Moss, Mike Parts, Pedro Rodriguez, and John Surtees. Just some of the names that were in period of actually that made GT racing such a big deal back then.
So, that's part of the history, and I think that's a real attraction to what we're doing in the modern day world, because I think you'll go out there and you'll see a lot of the cars that run in our series, they run to the original paint specification, the original decals. A lot of the racing drivers' helmets, although they're completely modern nowadays, but they're painted and finished in the style of the period driver who they're emulating the person that raced that car in period.
I think that's an interesting point, because I didn't realise those chaps drove that Porsche down, because when I've been in the paddock, I've seen some of the transporters and people ringing around. The build and quality and the standards of those cars are unbelievable. And I said earlier, there are cars on there worth millions of pounds. There's cars on there worth not as much either as well. I mean, it's a broad spectrum, isn't it? And that's only because the value of classic cars has increased significantly over the last decade or so, I'd say. But and I think that's another thing, isn't it? There are a mix of cars in there, Vanessa, isn't it?
It's not as elitist as that, because basically we cross the whole spectrum. So the ideal starter car for our series is an MGB.
Right.
It's available, it's approachable, it's manageable to get onto the level of historic motorsport that we provide with the Sports Car Cup. Yeah. And we still have a very loyal group of followers who actually, they put their cars on the trailers. Yeah. They turn up, they fettle them themselves. They don't have grand teams looking after them, and they put them back on the trailers and they go home. Yeah. There is the other end of the scale, the big lorries that, the race teams, they're very important to us. There's a massive industry in the historic world at the moment of these race teams who are, the race prep shops who are running cars for the various race series. The GT and Sports Car Cup is very approachable at that starter level package as well.
And I think that's the thing, doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter what, as they say, because the cars, I assume, you've got different classes and everything else, but it doesn't matter if there's a chap, like you say, who's run by a team, or the chap who's bought it down himself, working on it. And that's the beauty, isn't it? You've still got your 90-minute races, you've still got the driver changes, the fundamentals are still all there, aren't they?
When you're out there on the track, everybody's equal. Yeah. And again, the spirit of the series, if somebody's broken something during qualifying, then there's a whole mad dash around the paddock to see, even against their biggest competitor, to see if somebody's got a part to lend them. And that's what's so magical about the GT and Sports Car Cup family, because they really all club together to make sure they all get out on the track.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm just going to bring up a couple of messages. First one, Chris Mason says, sorry, the patience call. Great show as always. Please all stay safe, respect the lockdown. We will all be back together again soon. Of course, he's a paramedic now, so thank you for joining in, Chris. I knew you weren't sure whether you were going to. And also, I'm going to bring this up because Richard, what happened? You went quiet on me, mate. Richard Fors was going to come on the show, possibly. A good friend of mine, him and his son racing in British Formula 3. Apologies, Vanessa, I blanked you out for a second. I'll bring you back. He has raced in every autumn classic so far since it started, and we're going to get a slight driver's perspective. We probably will at some point during the year. Hi guys, great show. Just want to say Castle Combe Classic is a must-do event, among the biggest classic races now. It's the atmosphere of the track and the people and personalities involved. Too many to mention, but a big shout out to David DaCosta, who'd always appear in the collecting area to say good luck before every race I did there. I'm sure we'd all say get better, get well soon, or get better soon. And that kind of sums up the spirit among the drivers, really, doesn't it? I know that Richard hasn't been in the GT and Sports Car Cup, although he did say he was hoping, he was in conversations about the possibility that he was wanting to this year. But he's racing all sorts of things around the country. I've commentated on him and his son in many a different thing. But that whole message there sums up the spirit amongst everyone, either side of the fence.
There's such an appetite to get back out there and, roll on COVID days, and let's get on top of this pandemic and let's get things back to normal.
Absolutely. And just quickly there to say, for people who are familiar with David DaCosta, he's been around the circuit for a very long time, very good racer back in the day as well. And was sponsored by all sorts of people, lots of fantastic. David's got some fantastic stories that I wouldn't dare repeat, especially with Vanessa in the room as well. But there's photos he's showing me. There is all sorts of things he got up to back then. He was sponsored by what's his name, Ronnie, the club in London. What was it, Ronnie, the jazz club? Ronnie Scott's. He was actually sponsored by them, which you believe, especially him in his all sorts of things. And he'd been working the circuit up until quite recently, not last year, but because of the pandemic, with his health and one thing and another. And he's actually been very poorly, but hopefully he's on the mend. He's getting better, and I'm sure Emma speaks to him a bit and is in contact with him more so. So everyone who knows David. He's a huge personality. Been around the circuit a long time. So yeah, please get well, and our best wishes are with him. So
yeah, we do have fun trying to mop up after him, apologising and whatever else at the racing.
It's all done in good spirit.
Oh no, exactly, and you know it is from my side. Is that we have a great fun. He's such a character.
Yeah, he is a character.
Yeah. He is wonderful. DDC, get well soon, my friend, without question. And great to hear from Richard Fors. And I'm sure we'll get Richard on the show at some point during the course of this year, because that family's got some great stories in motor racing as well. Yeah. And that kind of brings us back round to the whole family element of it. What about, I mean, I didn't really say, by the way, for everybody who's watching, Vanessa's joining us from France. So apologies, Vanessa. It's like 9:45 your time. So thank you for
I need my dinner.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for that. But you know, obviously the family, the extended family, both sides of the family, so heavily involved. What does it involve for you guys this year with a fair wind and a fair tide?
Well, we're sitting tight here. The kids are at school in the UK. I think, you know, we're probably in for a lockdown here in France in the next couple of days, in the next couple of weeks. We've planned the season. We're going to do as much as we can to make it happen. You know, it's out of all of our hands, but the spirit's there, the willing's there, and with your team, with Ken, who we're incredibly fond of, Steve, who puts such a wonderful program together. We'll do everything in our power to make sure that we can be, you know, for sure at Castle Combe in October.
Absolutely.
God bless you. Thank you for those comments. And yes, I echo those statements that Steve Weston and Ken work so hard. Tom, obviously from the circuit perspective, works so hard. I just get to be the voice and take all the credit most of the time, to be honest with you. And I don't have to do anything. But hey, I'm joking. The team are amazing. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to sort of announce or say or anything, Vanessa, or have we covered everything?
No, thank you very much for having me on this evening.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Got interested drivers who want to get in touch, please feel free. You've got the website details right there.
Yeah, and definitely do that, because there is the contact details are on the footer of that GT and sportscarcup.com. And I know as Vanessa sort of like picked up on me, I know I mistakenly made it sound elitist. That was definitely what I meant. It's that you know, historic racing is just probably the most buoyant area of motor racing at the moment. And I say at the moment, for the last couple of years in particular, it's massive, absolutely massive. It is amazing. It is just enthralling. And so there has to be a degree of kind of like, right, it's not just a case of everybody and anybody can enter a drop of a hat. There is just to kind of make sure. And that's why we're able to see that the racing is so good and it's so clean. You know, Ken's comments there in that testimonial for last year to say that there was no real incidents. That means that these amazing cars that a lot of them are worth an absolute fortune as well can come out to play. And, you know, Tim Perry making a comment, thank you for bringing them out to play. That's what enables that to happen. We get to see the history. So thank you to you and Flavian, Vanessa. And I speak for everybody who's watching. Thank you.
Thank you.
For bringing this stuff out to play. These things should not be gathering dust in the garage. They need to be brought out to their home environment, don't they?
Well, we promise you we will be back.
Yeah, we're looking forward to a lot of Jaggy types. I think that's a fond.
Sure.
I think we've had those. I mean, I think there's anyone. I don't think there's anyone you could find who doesn't like them for one reason or another. Just phenomenal cars, beautiful looking cars. So we're really pleased.
Abiento, says
Emma.
Ciao, Emma. Thank you very much, guys. See you when we can.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Vanessa. Take care. Stay safe.
You
Stay
too.
safe. Speak to you soon. Wow. And thank you so much for Vanessa. I know that it was even harder in terms of the time. Oh, and by the way, Vanessa, I know you can still hear me. Just going to put this up. Oliver says, I finished my work.
Good lad. Well done. Have a night off. Have a night off.
Yeah, exactly. You can't go in there. Go and get another gym, Vanessa, because he's done it. That's fine. Wow. I mean, Tom, this show was all your idea, because obviously normally we would do the artwork handover at Autosport, as you say, and it was like, well, instead of it just being that, let's kind of do a big deal about the Autumn Classic. And I think I made it fairly clear at the time. I was like, really, it's October. Why are we doing that, mate? You were 100% right. It was thoroughly enjoyable. It gives the artwork that you need now. I'm actually genuinely gutted. I'm not on the mic for the Autumn Classic, because that is just sounding awesome.
I think, that was the point. Is, like I said, not just because of the artwork. People have been badgering us, asking us what the themes are, what the artwork's going to be, who's racing, everything else, and there's a lot of uncertainty with everything. And hopefully by October, we'll be in a better place. But it's such a great event. There are a lot of historic events, and like I said, I spoke to Joe Cox yesterday. I spoke to Junior. I spoke to lots of different people, and we just love that event. Everyone loves that event. It gives us awesome to look forward to. We can start planning. Hopefully, people will be getting excited about it and have something to look forward to. But Vanessa is just you'll find people in the historic racing scene. A majority of them, I'm not saying in others, but very lovely people. And Vanessa's, it's been a pleasure to work with over the last few years. Nothing's ever too much trouble. They do exactly what they say and deliver, and vice versa. We try and do the same. And, they put on a great show, and that's what they're about. And I think, we want to build this piece. And like you said, Chris, we've done 40 of these, and we've got hundreds more, and we're lining up people all the time, and we will bring in other guests who have all got their own story and all have got their own fond memories and fond thoughts about Combe, and that's what we wanted to do. And like I said, the artwork, I've got it here. It's just beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. It just adds to it, and hopefully gives people just something to think about.
Absolutely, and it is. There's so much more we're going to be doing during the course of this year, which I know people have been, which is lovely. It's been humbling that people have been badgering us to make sure we do it. Anybody knows any organisations that want to get involved on a corporate level, let us know, because we can get them involved. VP Racing Fuels thoroughly enjoyed their involvement last year. And it just helps keep the whole thing, what they say, the cogs greased and all of that sort of thing. Yeah. And you've seen the adverts that can go on. We can have those playing. So drop us a line if there's anybody's that their organisation or they know of organisations that would like to get involved in that. There's an awful lot we can do on this. We get thousands of views. Yeah, it's anything from 2,000 to 6,000 views from every show. So drop us a line. But above all, it's been an absolute pleasure to be back with you. Thank you, David Vass says. Chris and Tom, well done. Brilliant show tonight. Thanks. And that means a lot, because I know that means that David's sort of really kind of gone back in time and he's enjoyed that. And thank you, David. I appreciate that. And again, get well soon, mate. Tim Perry, it was awesome, Dawsey and Davis. Brilliant idea, and great to hear from both Brian and Vanessa. And that's the thing.
Absolutely, I think getting Brian was, if you've got his art, as that chap's put up earlier, he's got all the pieces of artwork, and he's going to buy this one as well. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? No one's ever actually known who he is. You may have looked at his name, you may have Googled it, but to actually see the gentleman who's making that artwork, it is amazing. And like I said,
I hadn't met him.
No. I say very few people have, really, because he's either done it remotely and posted it to us. And it was only, I think, we started doing the Autosport because it's hiding quite nicely. He's not far from there, so it just worked nicely, and we could transport it safely and everything. But yeah, no, it's hopefully, like I said, hopefully please visit his site and look at his artwork as well. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much to everybody for your comments, and especially the ones that are coming in now. Obviously, as you can probably tell, there's a lot of work that we put in behind the scenes to get these shows. I'm back next Thursday with David Addison, and he's already digging out his programs from those British GT and British F3. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to that. The Voice British Touring Cars and many other things, but we certainly know him from there. The week after, we then got Russell Pointer Brown and Hintzer and all of that side of things, so it's going to be great. Tim Perry says, thanks, guys. Good to see you both, and can't wait to be back at the circuit as well. Take care, all. Dilly, dilly. Can't think of a better way to end it, mate. Take care, buddy.
Take care, everybody.
See you all very, very soon. Let's go out with this to remind us of our championships. Hi, Chris Dawes here. I've stepped away from the commentary box for a change and I'm in front of the camera because this time I'm talking about my business, Open Doors Training. Founded by myself as a project of passion because I felt so lucky that I get paid to do the things I do now. Commentating, hosting awards, voiceover artist, TV, radio, podcasts, live shows, you name it, all of those things are an absolute privilege, especially when I came from someone who was paralysed by fear when I had to present at university and when I first went into business after graduating. But thankfully, I got accused of making IT entertaining when I was in my sales and marketing role. I know, not that easy, but I'm proud of that one. And that's what really was the trigger, enabled me to carry on with all the different things I do now. I want to now help others open doors that they may not yet know exist. And you never will know exist unless you put yourself in a position where you can be heard. Whether that's in business, in public sector, in sport, all of it is the same. If you're silent, no one will know you exist and how good you are at things. You've got to put yourself in a position where you open those doors, at least so that you can knock on the doors and they know you are there. So that is what we do here at Open Doors Training. It's not about creating blueprints of presenters or media darlings or whatever it may be. It's about unlocking you. Instead of being the contained version of you, we want to get 110% of you. You probably exaggerate it by 10%. I'm sure I'm not like this when I'm at home on the sofa. The wife would kill me. But it is about still being you. And that is what we work on within all of our training. So come on over, opendoorstraining.co.uk. Let's have a conversation to see how we may be able to assist you going into, hopefully, a better year in 2021.